The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is a frigid Friday in the Riv. Everybody make sure you layer. Don't go out unless you have to. Make sure you keep your pets inside and keep your faucet dripping a little bit tonight.
I let my dog go out this morning, and it wasn't that, still not that bad out there, as you know. And my dog went out, did his thing, walked right back in the house. Wasn't even taking a chance.
Yeah, I took Abby out in the backyard today. It was starting to get cold.
Yeah.
The gusts were intermittent though, so
Right.
in between gusts it wasn't that bad. But when it gusts, but now the gusts are starting. The wind's
Yes,
starting
they
to
are.
pick up now. Coming up here, I went outside to make sure my hose was shut off completely and it was drained.
Yep.
And I was out there for like 2 minutes. I pulled the nozzle off because if you get any water in that nozzle, just so you know, when it freezes up, it expands. You'll end up with your nozzle cracking on your hose. So even though the water's off and it's fairly all drained, it's a good idea to take your nozzle off. So those are our cold weather hints from Spindle City Straight Talk.
And tomorrow, don't go out.
Yeah.
'Cause tomorrow morning, tomorrow early, tomorrow afternoon, it's supposed to be terrible. But they say that later tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be fine.
Well, tomorrow morning I've already decided because I got a walk-in cellar. So I'm not gonna take the dog because if I take her out the side entrance, I'm gonna have to go down and walk up the driveway into the backyard.
Yeah.
It'll cut the time outside. I'm gonna go down through the cellar, the basement, and walk out into the backyard. Let her do quick pee, and if she's gotta go quickly, she can. But otherwise, I'm dragging her back until the afternoon. So, because it's absolutely, it'll be. Well, it's the coldest. They said it's going to be the coldest day we've had in 7 years.
Right.
So everybody be careful and check on the elderly and take care of your pets.
And please be sure to check on the elderly.
Yeah.
I mean, with the way the heat has been going and the cost of fuel, a lot of the elderly, and I spoke with somebody this week, they're keeping their heat down to 60, 62.
Yeah.
Some of them are even keeping it lower than that, and I'm like, you can't keep your heat that low.
Yeah, actually, I saw a show. Because I'm not that, but I did see some of them. They were recommending putting the heat up to at least 70.
Yeah.
Because the pipes will freeze, and that's what I'm saying. Check the elderly, make sure, because most of the time in the old days when heat was at least affordable, you'd walk in a house and it'd be 85 in the winter. You'd go
be
in
sweating.
Here, you'd have to take most of your clothes off
Right.
to stay in there. But now, like you said, they're walking around with sweatshirts and coats inside. They're trying to save money, which you can't blame them. But in a situation like this for 1 day, day and a half, you got to make sure that everything's good for them, because if a pipe breaks in their houses, so then they're in big trouble. You know?
And that's another thing. I mean, there's going to be, the plumbers are already
Yeah, because you're not going to get a plumber
No.
over there or any heating company. They're going to be so backlogged, it's going to take them 3 days to get to you. So.
Well, did you see the oil companies? They're saying that if you have a half a tank,
Yeah.
don't call them. That's how busy they are.
Yeah.
If you only have a half a tank, don't call them, because that's enough. The average home that's heated by oil uses 7 gallons a day. 14 maybe the next 2 days. So you should have plenty of fuel to get you through. But they're so busy that they just can't keep up.
No, I
People
understand.
wait until the last minute, and they said the same thing. They said mainly we think that it's a lot of people who are worried that they're going to run out of fuel.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, it's good. It's good information. And look, the only, if you can say there's something good about living in Antarctica for a day and a day, but the reality is, that's the good thing. It's only going to be fundamentally for a little over a 24-hour period that we're going to have to deal with this. It's going to begin to moderate, and Sunday, it's going to be in the 40s. It's going to start off, I think, below zero, but by the end of the day, we'll be in the 40s. And next week, they're predicting almost the entire week of above average temperatures between like in the mid 40s to almost 50 next week. So We'll be out of this deep freeze shortly, but just make sure you
I know, isn't that? I mean, this
yeah.
is crazy.
No wonder
Everybody
everybody will be sick.
Yeah.
Because that's New England.
Yeah.
It's 20 to 30 below.
And then 50 degrees.
And the next day it's nearly 50. It's like that's an 80-degree shift.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
But hey, look, we want all the people to be safe. Don't let your kids go out and play and stuff like that. Unless,
Yeah, I would. I mean, I don't even want to let the dog out. I'm almost
Yeah.
ready to put down pee pads in the house and let
yeah.
it go in the house.
Although most of the kids today stay in and play Xbox and stuff anyway. They'll be happy.
That's true. They don't go out. I mean, it's not like we're in Minnesota where there's ice fishing. You know?
Yeah. So we
But
gotta,
even the people in Minnesota who are ice fishing aren't going to be out in this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. This is UP Upper Peninsula weather.
Yeah.
This stuff. This is like being up in Alaska. And
International Falls, Minnesota.
yeah, that's it. God. But the people who live up there, that's the thing. It's amazing how people, when they came to this country, legally, by the way, but when they came to this country, they went to areas that had climates similar to theirs.
Where they came from.
Because if you look at Wisconsin and Minnesota, especially up near the UP, right, the Upper Peninsulas of those states, they're all Nordic people.
Yes, they are.
A lot of
Yes.
Nordic people.
Yeah.
So that's in their country. This is the kind of weather they had, and they're very they're acclimated to it, and
Right.
they they like it. So.
And the equivalent in Minnesota to bacalhau is lutefisk, which is codfish preserved in lye.
Oh God, I'm sorry, that doesn't sound appetizing. Look, I like codfish, but
It's not appetizing at all. And they got to soak it in water like you do for salted cod, and then you cook it, and it's rubbery. It's rubbery, and it's terrible. I mean, I tried it, and I'm like, get this away from me. Never want. And I felt like I was insulting the host, but the host said, I kind of figured you wouldn't like it. I said, look, I come from a Portuguese community. We have bacalhau, which is salted codfish, and we can handle that. And this I can't handle.
yeah, but it's pretty unique up there. It's like when you go to Chicago, there's a lot of Eastern Europeans. In this
Yep.
part of the country, you don't see a lot of Eastern Europeans. Eastern Europeans have got fairly cold weather. Chicago, the Windy City, is very, very cold in the winter. And
the wind there doesn't help.
because that's the thing, when you get there, you find Lithuanian and all kinds of other Eastern European folk festivals and stuff. It's pretty unique. But let's get back to a little bit of our.
Well, before you move
Okay.
on to that, I wanted to bring up the fact that yesterday it was announced by Jordan Silvia that he was meeting with Will Flanagan about his candidacy, and I guess that's for mayor. So is Will playing all sides of the street here? I mean, it's
well,
and the funny thing was Jordan said, "Isn't it funny that I meet with my nemesis?"
yeah, I wouldn't really. Yeah, well, I mean, maybe that's it. That's what he feels he was. I mean, he wasn't. To us, he wasn't a nemesis.
No.
He was just a mayor that needed removing, just like we're saying that this guy is doing really nothing for the regular people of Fall River, and he needs to be removed. It wasn't personal. He wasn't a nemesis.
No.
He was just. We felt he wasn't doing a good job. He was running the city and every. But it seems as he's become the oracle now. They have to go like kiss the ring or something.
I noticed everyone's going
and
to him, yes.
everybody goes to him like he's got some magic solution. Well, he did get elected for a couple of terms, but then he got ignominiously bounced in a recall.
Well, the thing was
But-
is that he won his election, his initial election, because I worked at that initial election. He won that initial election against all odds, because if I remember correctly, that was against Bob Correa.
it could have been, yeah.
I think that was Bob Correa.
Yeah, and of course they had a lot of people working against Correa too. on
Right,
that one, so,
exactly.
But
But it wasn't a given that Will Flanagan was going to win that election.
no, he did a pretty good job of
Yeah.
campaigning, and the secret was, I remember going down to a fish and chip thing that he had down at the Liberal Club.
Yep.
To see what he had to say and stuff. But he ran a lot of things for the regular people in
Right.
Fall River. And he kind of identified with the people of Fall River because he grew up in a project and
Yes,
stuff
he
like
did.
that. And so, he had that little thing, and that's the key. That's the kind of campaigns we like, grassroots campaigns,
Right.
reaching out to the people, connecting with the people, giving people a message that you're working for them and you remember that you do work for them, unlike our politicians that we have today that only work for the rich and nauseous. And you're right. I found that out. So he's going to meet with him. I don't know what he's going to. Maybe he's going to ask him for support or something. But hey, he's going to do what he's got to do. He's organizing a campaign, and I guess they're going to do.
And I'm wondering if this is going to be a real campaign this time. A real headstrong, civil, issue-related campaign. I don't want to see the old Jordan Silvia coming out in the debate.
Well,
and making it look like a circus.
No, you're right, and I'll tell you, we did touch on this on a previous show, and like I said, Jordan's a bright guy.
Yes, he is.
He's got some really good ideas. He's got some real radical ideas too. But as you said, I think we haven't heard from him in a while. He really hasn't been involved in anything, and maybe his perspective has changed, and he intends to run an actual campaign to be elected, not to just be the voice in the wilderness or something like that.
Well, it's interesting.
So it's good. From my perspective, it's good because Jordan, connects with a different demographic. He also speaks about high taxes and things like this, things that the powers to be and the regular politicians always avoid like the plague. They try to con us like they did with this tax thing we talked about on the last show, which I'm going to get to a little bit. But this is the thing. He talks about that. I know the previous time when he's going to run, he didn't run for whatever reason. They said he didn't get the signatures. Oh, for whatever reason. It could have been personal reasons. It's irrelevant. But, that little post he made about, you've taxed people for hundreds of years and blah, 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 and that's what politicians do. And he looked forward to taking on Paul because, he's basically, his idea of running a city is just taxing and spending. And the
tax and spend on his friends.
And the hell, yeah, and the hell with the regular people
right.
and the burden you put on. But, yeah, I do too. Because Jordan is, he's not afraid of a microphone, that's for sure.
No, he's not. Nope.
He's fairly articulate. And if he stays on, on issues and stuff like that, I think it'll be he'll bring a lot to the campaign.
I think so too.
I think he'll bring a lot because he's going to talk about issues and he's going to make all the candidates talk about issues that a lot of the people in Fall River who are out in a vice right now
want to talk about
and they want to hear people talk about this.
And one of the things is there's a major change according to Jordan's own posts over the past couple of years. He's a property owner. He owns several properties, so he's a landlord or a renter. He rents properties. He's a paralegal. He has a great deal of respect within the courthouse. That I've heard from an attorney. And they talk. He's very civil. So there's a big difference. People grow up after time, and maybe that's what's happened here. And it would be great to see Jordan to be a contender. Okay, what do I think about him getting elected? I don't know. I won't know until I see the campaign. I won't know until I see the candidacy. But if he can give a run to Paul and to anyone else running, that would be a good thing.
And yeah, you're right, because I think that if he stays on, and as you said, listen, I understand. When he was younger, he just wanted to be the radical, the guy that's throwing the Molotov cocktails at the man, at raging against the powers to be. But then you realize that at some point in time you can't do that for your entire life. You've got to make a choice. Either you just stop doing that and just disappear, or you try to be part of the solution. And hopefully this campaign, like I said, he's got the wherewithal to stand there and do it. And I think if he's running a campaign that really he wants to be elected and he wants to bring these facts up, I think it'll be a great asset because, you and I have always been great proponents of vigorous and lively debate.
Yes.
And one thing Jordan will bring to the table,
no question about
is vigorous debate.
No question about
because
it.
he's not afraid. He's not bashful, and
And
like
he calls it like it is.
and he calls it like he's
like us. We call the balls and the strikes.
we don't have to agree with anybody. We've always said we call them, we call balls and strikes. Some people think we're pretty good umpires. Other people think we suck. We're blind. But that's the way it is. But at least we're here, and we've always tried to affect change.
Right.
We did the recall. We're always talking about issues and encouraging people to vote. And it's nice to see, it'll be good. It'll be good if he gets into this race and really, really runs it to win it. Because, win, lose, or draw, I know enough about Jordan to know that if he's on point and doing it that way, he will bring a lot to that election in information and making the people realize that, they're going to be heard, because he's going to be talking about a lot of things that the people are concerned with.
That's the key. The people.
That's right.
The people. And that's something, as you said, our politicians forget. This election isn't about them. It's not about their friends. It's not about developers. It's not about contractors. It's about the people. And where do the people stand?
Yeah.
And you've got to bring the election back to the people. And when you do that, as you said, when Will Flanagan did it, he got elected. If you don't bring the election back to the people are going to say, he doesn't care about me.
We got to get him out. We had nearly 17,000 people turn out in the recall.
Yep.
And they had 10,000 in the last election. So who runs those elections? The partisans control the government. That's what we can't have, because people are sick and tired of it. The con job. We talked about that tax rate, but just quickly, I just did a little bit of math. We're not going to, because it's going to be. We can get to it in depth at budget time to educate these people. But just for crap and giggles, I did a quick little thing about between Newton and Fall River. Of course, we know Newton's the most affluent city in Newton City. Now, these numbers show how what they're saying is a big con job, because we told you, if the tax rate goes down $2, but your house goes up in valuation, you'll pay more, and if it continues to go up, it's going to go up even more, even at a lower rate, because you've got to look at the ability to pay, because they all say we got one of the lowest tax rates in the state, and we proved it wasn't one of the lowest. But even though they turn around and say, well, Newton's houses are worth a lot more, but they also have a lot more money. So I did quickly today. Now, and this is another staggering factor. Owner-occupied houses in Newton, 71.8%, almost 72%. That means those people have a vested interest in their community.
That's right.
Not like Fall River, where these developers are coming, give a damn about Fall River, don't put their money into their community. That's why Newton's educational system, their fire and police are well-funded. They've got everything they need in the Newton and the Brookline fire departments and police departments. And they're not the city of potholes, because those houses. Fall River, on the other hand, has 36.3. This is the United States Census Bureau. And if you say I'm making it up, get online right now, because I did this morning while I was having breakfast.
There you go.
Okay, so these are statistics that I got an hour ago. Okay, Fall River's owner-occupied 36, which is fundamentally half of what Newton has. Okay, so that talks about investment in the community. Then the next big thing is, what are, and these tips are even skewed because they haven't been updated now with the increases in our rents.
Right.
Now, first they said median cost, again, median, average, okay, with a mortgage in Newton, to own a house is $33,996. That's a pretty good amount.
Yeah.
In Fall River now, I know it's going to be higher than this, but it's $1,853. Now, you would say, wow, yeah, of course. Now, look, of course, Newton, that's why, because look how much more it costs in Newton. But when you compare that with their average income, their average gross income of $165,000, versus 49, and I even went up to 50 because it used to be 48. I gave the household income in Fall River 50. And guess what? If you look at the percentage of the income that your house is costing you versus your income, it is higher in Fall River, almost double. It's 0.02 in Newton of their income. It's 0.04 in Fall River. And I rounded up when it was above, like to do with taxes.
Right.
But it's almost double the cost.
Right.
So I don't care what they say. Even though their houses on an average are worth $900,000 versus, they said, oh, in our city it was like 200, but now we know that's not true. And then without a mortgage, you know, it's fundamentally the same ratio. Their household income is 164,607. Ours right now, it was 48, it's 46, now it's 49,613. Here's the other thing. You think it's not dramatic when these rents, and it said like median gross rents, this is way off on Fall River now, 2,066 in Newton, 918 in Fall River. It's not 918
No, it's
anymore,
higher
not
now.
even close.
Yeah, it's higher
so
now.
The percentage, but see, how is that going to impact? Okay, the median income's, the median gross rent's $2,000, but they have a household income of $165,000 basically, versus 49,000.
Their cost isn't even 1/3.
That's right. And this is the other one. It really doesn't have a big impact in Newton because their poverty rate is 4.2%. Our poverty rate is 19%. So you're going to tell me, you phony, I gotta stop with that one because the other adjectives I were going to use would get us thrown off the air. You disingenuous politicians are trying to convince people that this market rate housing is a good thing when we have 20% of our people living in poverty. We have a ton of, and then you don't even prioritize affordable housing in this community. Now, see, that's what they don't understand. Rich people don't care. The haves, inflation doesn't bother them. Rents don't bother them. The average house in Newton is worth almost $1 million. And they go, well, yeah, well, Fall River, you can still get a house for $400,000. Well, guess what? $400,000 is a lot more expensive to a city where the median income is 49.
That's right.
Not 165. That's why 71% of those people in that community, or 72 actually, 71.8, 72% own their own houses. And only 36% in Fall River do. Why? Because people have to live in apartments here because they don't have the money, even to buy a house at that rate, because it's a, you know, they tried it. That's what they do. That's the biggest old political con they've ever had. They take the tree and they point you at the tree and say, look at the tree. Look at the beautiful leaves on that tree. But they don't show you the whole forest. You see, dropping the tax rate $2 doesn't matter when you don't earn the kind of money. It's got to be that dynamic of ability to pay. Because like I said, it doesn't matter if you can get a hamburger in Fall River for $3 and it costs $6 in Newton, because if you only got enough money to afford the dollar menu, the $3 hamburger is too damn expensive. And they're trying to tell you it's good. And they're measuring the relative greatness of Fall River because we've had $3.7 million worth of growth. The growth for who? The 19% that are in poverty? The people who are living, you know, in the crushing environment of inflation and heating bills and stuff. This is just, it's disgusting. But that's what we have for politicians. So what's the moral of the story? Vote this coming November and put people in there who care about you, because that last con that the Herald News ran is nothing more than 3-card Willie and the fast shuffle.
You know, it's funny you brought up voting, because we can never say, emphasize enough how important it is to vote.
Yep.
Well, many people by today or this week should have received the city census. And in that city census, they included an application to have your ballots mailed to you. So you have no excuse why you can't vote, because the city will mail you your ballot and they pay for the postage both ways. So if you don't think you want to vote, think again. You need to vote. Fill out that application. Mail it back with your census. Drop it in the census collection box at the Stop and Shop or the Shaw's. Drop it in the census collection box at City Hall. Drop it in the city's overnight depository. Get that to them as soon as possible so that you can be put on the list to get your ballot mailed to you. A lot of people, I know, like Chip, likes to walk in and see what's going on in the polls and have a little bit of social time with some of the workers and whatnot, and that's great. Some people, they don't care. They were absentee ballots for years and years and years, and now they want to stay that way, and that's great because they're voting. I want to see people vote. I have big problems with the mail-in ballot process because we've heard and seen so many problems around the country. We haven't heard many in Massachusetts yet, but we've heard about them around the country. I want to be sure that our elections stay secure.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of mailing that. I think if you want one, you should have to request one.
Yep.
Because how many people that are sitting in nursing homes, and we've seen this throughout the country, are getting these ballots and somebody checks off the box, requests a ballot, and then votes for those people.
I know.
And then they're incapable of really voting. And, you know, that always concerns me. But we got to shift gears quickly. We got a couple of minutes because something broke the other day. We got information. I'm going to dive into it this coming weekend to show how the politicians don't care about anything, especially in cities like us, because it doesn't affect us. It doesn't affect people in Newton because they have a primo educational system up there
Right.
and stuff. They're trying to pass a bill, supposedly, that eliminates the metric, the MCAS.
Right, the metrics.
And the other big thing is, and you're going to have a metric. Look, I don't particularly care for the MCAS either, but there's got to be a metric to determine it. And then this is the big one. You ready for this one? I'm glad you're sitting down, CJ. They want to eliminate the state taking over schools that are not performing. They're just going to let them continue to underperform
flounder.
and let the city that can't run its school system fix it. Well, if they could have fixed it, they wouldn't have to look. Now there's not even going to be a threat of state control. And here's the big one, on another one. According to DESI, we are short $3,041,887 on our spending for net school spending. And that was as of October 20th, 22. So we haven't even met net school spending yet,
Right.
according to them. But can you imagine taking away oversight and accountability for underperforming schools? So who is that going to help? That is going to help all the underperforming schools, and Newton doesn't care, just like they don't care
Right.
about stuff. But taken away, the state will not come in and make you straighten it out. And that's
Maryland.
what we're going to find out who's supporting this bill. Call your state reps and tell them, we need to make sure that our children are being educated.
That's right. Otherwise, we're going to have Maryland.
Yep.
We're going to have Baltimore.
Baltimore.
We're going to have it. And we can't have that. And remember, the future of our city, the future of our country, the future of our state is our children. But if they come out dummies, we're not going to have much of a future. STEM is a big thing that they're talking about. Science, technology, et cetera, et cetera. And if our children can't even add 2 and 2, and there's nobody to oversee that, we have a problem. So remember, call your state reps, call your state senator, let them know that you want to support children. Thank you for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Stay warm this weekend and stay in the house. We'll see you on Monday.
Be safe, everybody.